So you're known as the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. What's your biggest strategy right now that's working on LinkedIn?
I knew you were going to like hit me right out the gate with something pretty tough. I've got one keyed up, but dude, I think I'm going to give you my secret sauce that's like totally crushing it right now. Like, I don't share this with them, but you and I are friends. We've known each other for a while. So, brother, I'm just going to just lay it out there. So, here's the deal, right? Last year, when I look at it, I probably did about 1.5 million impressions on my content, which again, created massive value, massive opportunity. If you can get that much, because you don't need massive visibility on LinkedIn to actually create massive opportunity to be able to convert into sales, right? Whatever you're trying to be able to do, relationships, conversations, dude, let me just tell you, like this year, it's March. We're 3 months into it. And I know we hate like dropping time frames on podcasts, but I just want everyone to understand the reference here. It's March and I'm at 20 million views organically on LinkedIn right now. Like that just every time I look, it blows my freaking mind just because of the fact that like what I'm doing is so simple and so easy. So look, Alec, if you give me a second here, I'll shut up. I'm going to actually break it down for everyone. All right.
I
Here's the
love it.
deal. Here's the deal. Alec, you're younger than me. So like, I gotta ask just because like, sometimes I say things and my wife will be like, dude, you sound so old. Do you know what newsjacking is?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. It's basically taken over, a trending topic, something in the news cycle. Is
There
that
you go.
accurate?
Yeah, we used to do this in blogging a lot. Back in the days of blogging, we used to do it a lot, right? Being able to kind of go in there and we would create emails or blogs to be able to take a current news story and be able to add in your secret sauce, your magic, and to be able to catch going because it's that whole idea of fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Most marketers, most salespeople sell you based on how they think and how they believe you should learn, right? The same thing we see in schools. This is why it doesn't work all the time. Growth mindset is how do we actually provide content and information around something that someone's interested in already? Well, look, we're in a 24/7 news cycle, y'all, and they're always looking. I mean, news has changed from news to media, right? Let's just be real. It's a TV show half the time here in the States. So like LinkedIn is one of the most trusted platforms out there. So like this is a platform that most news anchors, people are going to be able to find out what's going on in the world. In the United States, and it's in Canada and some other countries as well, but in the top right-hand corner of your LinkedIn content profile feed, right? It says news, right? It tells you what's trending in the news right now. Very similar to trending hashtags on like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. Like we know we want to create content and use those hashtags to be able to garner, really views from people that are looking for those specific things right now. Same thing with LinkedIn. So what I did was video right now is becoming hot on LinkedIn. I used to be able to tell everyone 30 to 60 seconds max on a video. These videos I'm doing right now, Alec, they're anywhere from a minute and a half to a minute. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at this news feed. It tells me exactly how many readers, anywhere from 5,000 readers to sometimes 100,000 readers, on this particular news article. I find the one that's aligned with me, right? Like this is the thing, y'all. If you don't know anything about the NFL and your company does nothing to do with it, I don't care if they're getting a new quarterback. Don't try and newsjack that. Like it has to be aligned. Like most times I live in a beautiful world, man. Cause like right now, like I've been deep in the AI spectrum for a while. So like every second a new AI story pops up. So it makes it super easy for me, y'all. So I want to just bear with me on that aspect. So I grabbed that and honestly, I'm using AI, right? I've taught my AI how to actually be able to understand my voice. I mean, dude, when you go through and look at my AI personas, like for myself or for my clients, they're 50 pages deep. Like they're probably longer than most people spend even getting the results they get. Usually most people are like, yes, I've got a paragraph on who I am and what I do. It's like, no, like we go 50 pages deep. So like once I've got that uploaded, my AI persona knows me, knows my voice, my tonality, my stories. I then go, hey, here's the current news story. I need you to be able to weave in, personal stories about me, what we do at Standard Authority and how there's alignment within this story and what we do and how it can add value to the current LinkedIn ecosystem. And so like it gives me, and like, look, y'all are going to figure out really quickly, I'm not a follow a script kind of guy. If you give me a script, like I've sat down with my wife, Rachel, and we'll try and do like promo videos. Like, dude, I can't read for anything for some reason, but like, if I had the keynotes, right, like I can go through and that's what I use. And being able to do that and then being able to follow that news story, Like I'm telling you, I'm doing that only Tuesdays and Thursdays. And my average views on those range anywhere from 1 million to a couple million views. And that views are turning into opportunity, from brand opportunities to speaking to people wanting to be able to look and talk to us about our services. So like that's the secret sauce of what I'm seeing right now. And I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Wow. Wow. Newsjacking is back and it is more alive than ever on LinkedIn. And getting 20 million
Yeah.
views on LinkedIn is insane,
Yeah.
especially since LinkedIn, like if you were to run ads, right? It's one of the most expensive CPM platforms because you have all the different, business owners on there. There's so much value. To get 20 million organic free impressions is insane. We're going to be diving deeper into this, but I'm so excited to have you on here. Of course, joining us today is Joshua B. Lee. He is known as the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. We're going to be diving into all the best LinkedIn strategies and secrets. We've also been friends for a while as well, both here in Austin. And with over 2 decades in digital marketing, Joshua has built 16 businesses. He's a serial entrepreneur, managed nearly $1 billion in ad spend, driven 35 trillion online impressions. That's crazy. 35 trillion online impressions. But here's the thing. He realized that metrics don't build relationships, people do. And that's why he founded Standout Authority, where he helps executives, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders humanize their brands and turn engagement into real world impact. He's worked with some of the biggest companies like Google, MySpace, AWS, Oracle, and more, and visionaries like Joe Polish, Dan Sullivan, Sally Hogshead, Peter Diamandis, and many more as well. And I'm excited because we're going to be diving into a no BS conversation. That's what he said right here in the what we were talking about beforehand, and diving into somebody who is revolutionizing LinkedIn. Thank you so much for coming on, Joshua. This is going to be awesome.
Dude, I'm excited. I mean, I feel like I already gave 10-minute story already. So, I'll try and be more precise with my answers moving forward. But, I get excited, man. Like you and I, like when we get talk, like we've been talking about this for a long time. Like, dude, when we get into this, when you talk about LinkedIn and YouTube, like two of the most powerful platforms out there, like there's going to be magic. So like, I'm excited for today.
Oh yeah, it really is. And from some of the conversations we've had before, like I feel like I remember we had a dinner recently at a mastermind out in Miami, and we were talking and talking, and we are just like, we can just keep jamming, all night. It's so funny. So now this is, not only a continuation of a conversation like that, but all of you get to listen along. And that's the whole point of the Marketing Minds podcast is we're going to dive deep. I remember, Josh, you hopped on a second ago. You're like, deep do you want to go? And I said, let's go deep. Let's get all the best strategies. We don't want to hold anything back. So you just gave a really, really great, kind of breakdown of how you can use the newsjacking on LinkedIn. I also definitely want to dive into your overall LinkedIn strategy, but there's another super value bomb we can hit people off the bat because you gave me a bit of advice at a different mastermind, maybe 6 months ago, where you told me all about sending out LinkedIn newsletters. And that strategy has been working for us. I got, like 10% of my LinkedIn followers to sign up for this newsletter practically overnight following your strategy. Got a really high, kind of open rate, really good engagement. And can you just share, what's the LinkedIn newsletter strategy? Why does it work so well? And what are your secrets behind it?
Alec, I mean, like, it's y'all, he's going to pull everything out of me. So I hope everyone's taking notes, right? Like this is the thing when you get interviewed by your friends, like you've like randomly said things here and there. So you can't hold anything back. Cause he's like, dude, you already told me about this. So like now you got to share it with the audience. So dude, I love it. I love it. So newsletters, I mean, like, let's talk about it. Like, let's go back like a year or two, like for the last year and a half, like we've had some of our people that you and I know very well. They're like, newsletters are back. You can make so much money on newsletters. And I was like, and I'd ask them, I'm like, cool. Like you're emailing out your list and stuff like that. Are you, I mean, like, it's hard. Like we've got to fight against, Google and their algorithms and their changes and open rates and things like that. I go, have you tried LinkedIn newsletters? You're like, no. I said, dude, like it's so powerful because this the one thing we always try and get is open rates, right? Like how do I actually get deliverability? First and foremost, is my email getting delivered to someone's inbox? And once it gets delivered, are they actually opening it? Well, the first part's taken care of because it's LinkedIn. Like when you actually create a LinkedIn newsletter on that platform, when the people that sign up, your followers, because you get one shot in the beginning. So if you have a couple thousand followers, they all get invited the first time around. When you actually go through from that point forward, every time someone reaches out to connect with you, even if you don't connect, they get an invite to follow your newsletter as well too. So it's an instant downsell, I guess you would say, right? Here's an extra opportunity. Like, I don't know if we're going to connect, but hey, make sure you follow my newsletter. And LinkedIn's doing this for us. And because it's LinkedIn, they have 100% deliverability in someone's inbox. So then it's all on you. Are you writing content that's actually create someone to be able to read that and open it? And that's the power, right? Once we actually get that past that, hey, I can get in someone's inbox. Now am I creating content? And we've used this, Alaric, in so many different scenarios because I love a newsletter because one, I can actually put it in multimedia formats, right? Like when you have like a YouTube channel, I can be able to go through, I can have context. I can actually embed the YouTube video in there because some people like to read the book. Other people like to watch the movie, right? Hell, if you've got a podcast, guess what? You can actually embed the audio in there as well too. So now you have different ways to be able to interact with your audience the way that they consume information. So that's the cool thing. And the other aspect of this that I want everyone to pay attention to is it's not just going on LinkedIn. So I don't know if you and I talked about this last time, Alec, but I've actually confirmed it with some of my friends that are some of the best SEO experts in the world because I use Google Alerts and I've been tracking like how fast my content on LinkedIn gets indexed by Google. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but and the depth of that goes and where it's going right now, y'all. But like seriously, brother, like right now when I post a newsletter, within 1 hour, it gets indexed on Google. It is the fastest piece of content currently out there right now that gets indexed on Google. So not only are we being able to be found on LinkedIn, we are now getting indexed at a high level because the Moz score is 100 out of 100. I would take that as it is right now because we all know that like kind of traditional search is going out the window and we're going to be moving to a deeper AI search. For what it is right now, like that's getting indexed. And like that, now you're not just being found on LinkedIn, you're getting found on Google where everyone else is searching as well. And so like these are some of the powerful ways for everyone to be able to do it. And all it does, it allows you to be able to do long form content. You've got to be able to hit that right-hand corner, write a post. It'll actually change it. You can actually change it to write an article. And then the top right-hand corner again, it'll say, create your newsletter. That's it. Like start going. Like people go, what do I write? Come on, like talk to text, do whatever you need to do. But I guarantee you people that are, if you're listening to Alaric, I have to believe every single one of you have a YouTube channel. So that's it. Like embed your video, take the text, transcribe it, put that in there. And now you're getting even bigger distribution for your content across multiple platforms.
I love it. And also, I think I had a little taste of why they call you the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn because I launched the podcast and sure enough, it blew my mind within 24 hours. So I've got about, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to grow on LinkedIn and all of that because I'm excited to learn from you as well. I know we've had great conversations, but also sharing with everybody here. Well, I've got about like 17 or 18,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I launched the newsletter, and like almost immediately I had 1,600 people, signed up on the newsletter, and then over time as people have connected or followed me, they've gotten added, and so it was within like 24 hours, and then sure enough, like the next newsletter I send out, gets a lot of engagement, a lot of exposure. That's a dopamine hit right there. So I know why they call you the dopamine dealer. So everybody listening, I mean, it's such a powerful strategy, and definitely really, really great golden nugget for people to utilize. So kind of diving deeper, how would you define, because I want to dive into some of these other elements too, you kind of reference some of them. We're going to get to all of that. But if we take a step back and we look big picture, how do you define your overall LinkedIn strategy? I know one of the things you talk about is kind of an H2H, like human to human connection on LinkedIn, which I think sometimes not everybody on LinkedIn does. So I think it's something that makes you unique. How do you look at your overall LinkedIn strategy and how you recommend people grow?
Alex, it's a great question because it's something I learned. I've been doing this for 20 years. Like I figured out how to monetize, right? That actually being able to sell someone, if you sell someone, you have to continue to sell them, right? They're not choosing to buy your product or service. And that was the shift for me because I spent years building multiple companies and every pay-per-click acronym you could ever imagine, from CPC to CPA to CPM to CPL. I did it all, right? Like remember, 35 trillion online. I mean, if it was monetizable, I did it, right? Like, but it was hollow because I had to continue to be able to sell those people, and that's exhausting not only for them, but for me as well. And so, like, this is where I want everyone to understand. Like, when I went through a reset in my life, I wanted to be able to do more, not only for myself, not only for my kids, but for where we were going in marketing. And because I saw it going down the wrong way. Right. And so, the biggest thing with LinkedIn was everyone goes, oh, it's a B2B platform, business to business. I don't care. B2B, B2C, y'all, those are ways that guys like me 20 plus years ago just diversified ad spend. Right. Every company is run by another human being. Most marketers forget that. And as good copywriters, as good content creators, we always know, Alec and I know, we're always talking to another person on the other side. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking about one person right there every single time. Now, it might be 50,000 people that I'm talking to that one person, but it is. And so we have to remember that on LinkedIn as well, too. So honestly, man, when I went on there, it was the strategies I use are just the things that my mom taught me how to treat other human beings. I was just doing it online. And I think that was the biggest shift, right? Because in a world where LinkedIn, everyone's talking about their shiny, watch my language on that aspect. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. And, we kind of look at every pitch is, Alec, you wear shirts? Me too. Let's connect, dude. Like and then you get pitched 2 seconds later. Like we're exhausted by it. Everyone's exhausted by these different aspects of just getting spammed all the time because most strategies people taught, oh, well, if you message out 1,000 people and you get the one sale, they're like, yeah, you got the one sale. I'm like, no, you just pissed off 999 people. My strategy was not how do I get you clients, how do I actually build you advocates? Because like an advocate can bring us 1,000 clients. And I'd rather work with 10 people that bring me 1,000 people rather than me having to go out and find those 1,000 people. It's exhausting. And most people look at it in a different way. You know that, I know that, right? And so that was the shift. It was how do we actually go through this? And so like for my overall arching strategy was we've got to be able to humanize these brands. The people behind the brands are who people align with. How do you actually do that? How do you actually create conversations that build relationships? Because relationships in today's world create opportunity. And so that's where Standard Authority was born, being able to go through and actually really be able to help, companies and amazing human beings that I used to read their books on how to be able to start my own companies, now educate, inspire, and draw in their audience, not sell them, right? Get someone to choose to work with them rather than being sold into working with them. And like, because of that, like we just got one of our largest clients ever, brother. Like we are now to be able to see where we are. Like, this has been an 11-year journey, being the guy that's like LinkedIn and people are like, and the right people knew, but overall, now 2025 comes around. Everyone's like, dude, that platform you've been screaming about? Yeah, man. Can you tell me more about it? And we got a client like just recently, AWS, right? A Fortune 10 company. And they're like, hey, we have amazing humans at our company. They're hidden behind the brand. We want to humanize our brand and be able to connect with our audience on different levels. We hire these people. How do we actually help them stand out? And that's kind of where we stepped in, creating content that resonates, messaging that actually starts conversations, and a personal brand that actually echoes who they are, not what they do.
Absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. And the fact that you're also doing it at all these different levels, from companies like AWS to also working with some of the biggest kind of personal brand names like Joe Polish, Peter Diamandis, some of these other people as well. And so I think regardless of where you fall, somebody who's listening to this or watching this right now, whether you have more of kind of a company based brand, having that human to human element, having that ability to have those personalities front and center, or if you already are an expert based brand like LinkedIn, there's so much opportunity. And by the way,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. The same way with me with YouTube ads and talking about the power of YouTube. The first, and maybe it wasn't quite as long, so it sounds like I had it a little easier than you, but the first like 5 years were like a grind of me saying like, this is the best, this is like a great platform. Obviously, we can talk about YouTube and LinkedIn, but they're both really amazing platforms. But, telling people like, here's the benefit of YouTube ads, here's the benefit of YouTube ads. Sounds like for you, it's been like a decade of here's the benefit of LinkedIn. And I have seen that too. I've seen more and more people, and of course you're the person that's always been talking about this, but I've seen more and more people saying like, wait, what is that? What's going on LinkedIn? And so of course,
people think it's the place to find a job, right? And I mean, you're talking about a platform where, average incomes are higher than most other platforms, type of users. You're talking about people that actually 4 out of 5 people on that platform are decision makers. So not only can they afford the decision, they can actually make it. Right. And so and we're talking about just because like my kids aren't on it, right? Like, when we talk about education wise, 50% or more of the people on that platform have a college degree or higher. So I've got an educated audience that has the means and the ability to make the decisions that I'm sharing. And people don't go on LinkedIn to now look, love YouTube and I'm like that. And I won't put that in that category, but like TikTok, like people get caught in a TikTok funnel, right? They lose themselves in someone else's life. And that's not what you're going on LinkedIn. Usually most people are going on LinkedIn to be able to either make a decision or get information to make a decision, right? Whatever it might be. That used to be a lot shorter cycle because people used to be only spend maybe 14 minutes a week on LinkedIn. We're now seeing on average, I think the average is like almost 15 minutes a day, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when you're talking about being able to, you're not just randomly searching and just, going through, it actually turns out to be a pretty relevant amount. That's why like people like Gary Vee will go through and tell like, dude, get on LinkedIn because you don't need 1 million followers on LinkedIn. You can crush it and make millions of dollars with a couple thousand followers of the right people. The other aspect of this platform, and the reason why I say that, y'all, is it's not like some of these other platforms recently at the last traffic and conversion summit, I think you and I were at, it's no longer, they were talking about being able to, every platform has a For You page now. Everything's changing. I said, I'm sitting back and I go, man, should have talked to me before this because LinkedIn doesn't do that. They don't optimize for the For You page, which is people that you don't know. They optimize for the connections that you have. So that's why it's powerful on who you connect with, not just playing Pokemon on there trying to collect them all.
And I think that's a really great segue into my next question, because I think that LinkedIn, more than any other platform, I've seen people try to take the easy route, right? And that's not what where there's all these like softwares or Chrome plugins or extensions. And I remember one of the things that you told me, which I wasn't aware, that some of these things aren't even allowed. What are the details around these, and why is that not the best strategy? Is taking the kind of collect them all, let me add everybody kind of
Yeah.
strategy? Like why
I
doesn't
mean,
that?
first and foremost, this is why everyone goes, God, I hate my feed. My feed sucks. It's just people talking about themselves, and I get in my inbox is full of spam. That's the first reason, right? That's alone is enough not to get me on a platform. I'm be like, dude, I hate LinkedIn out. Like, and so you don't want to collect everybody. You don't want to accept every single person that's out there. The other aspect is it used to be you could send as many connection requests as you wanted, right? You have 30, unlike like Facebook, right? You only have 5,000 connections. You can make 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. Now, here's the deal. You used to be able to do that. Marketers, guys like you and I, like I'm not going to say that I haven't had my faults in my past. I've learned from my mistakes, overuse that. And so they would use tools and, automations to be able to go through and send out 1,000 connection requests a day and being able to go through. Now you're only allowed to do 400 connection requests a month. Now that actually works pretty well because again, when you're actually being targeted and specific with who you're talking to, you can actually break that out. Anyone can be able to do that, but you have to be precise. And if you're using automation, like LinkedIn has it in their T's and C's, if you get caught using any type of automation on that platform, they'll boot you right off. Like you can't use the Manny chats and all the other things that of the past that are going through all these Chrome extensions. If you ever watch them, like you and I both know 99% of people do not watch the updates that go through it like a Chrome extension. Every night, those things get updated because what they're doing is trying to stay ahead of the LinkedIn algorithm so they don't get caught. And that's that whole piece, right? Like, but you don't need these things. Like people go, oh, well, I need the easy button, right? Like I need to be able to send, I don't have time. BS, because I said you have 400 connection requests a month. You're telling me that if you break that down to 100 a week with 5 days a week, that means 20 a day. You don't have the time for your business to make 20 real connections a day. If you don't have time to be able to do that, what are you running a business for, right? Like you're going to fail. You're going to go down the wrong path in the long run, and you're going to find yourself in a situation that the easy button doesn't work anymore. It works always in the beginning. Anyone can make money really quickly, but can you sustain it? Like myself, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been running this business specifically for 11. Most companies don't make it past the 2 or 3 year mark because they're trying to always hit that easy button. How fast can I do it? And so that's the whole story, brother. I think there's a better way to do it, and I'm happy to be able to share. I'll give you the exact formula of what we do.
Wow, and it makes a lot of sense. And you're also teeing up the next question really well. That's twice in a row, because going into the exact formula of what to do, I think is going to be great to
Yeah.
dive into. And And by the way, there is an easy button, to work with somebody like yourself, to help with all this as well. So, I know that's a lot of what you
Of
do. We'll talk
course.
more about that later. But
I mean,
but
yeah,
some of
dude. I
this,
mean, like, I share a ton of stuff. Like, for me, it's like, if I want everyone to be able to get the same thing that you, I see you share amazing content for free all the time because you and I are cut from the same cloth of going, hey, you know what? We want everyone to be able to excel and get to where they want to go and be able to understand how to use a platform correctly. But the people that want to get there faster, they're the ones that are going to hire guys like you and I to be able to do that. And so, like, that's the whole piece. Like, follow me. Cool. You're going to get all the information eventually. You want to get there faster? That's where we kind of come in. Or you
exactly.
watch this podcast.
And that's the thing. So I think we think exactly alike. Give all the value. People understand, how it works, and then you can go and implement these different things. And I think that just to kind of talk about, like, basically on one of those like plugins or these different things, I think, you're either going to be trading time and experience, or you're going to be trading money. I think where people get stuck is when they try to like do something that's like this free hack that
Yeah.
doesn't quite actually do it. Like, the best things come from some combination of time or money and investing in, the experience and people. And so I think that that's always a good reminder. But all right, let's dive in though. And I love that you're very value first. We share that, and I love it. So,
Yeah.
continuing on that train, what is the strategy? What do you recommend for people?
So here's the thing. And the reason why we do this, man, because you talked about trading time for money and being able to go through that aspect. I look at it as, if you're going through to spam people, you're not just, yeah, time, money, all those different aspects. You're trading your integrity. You're trading your brand recognition. You're trading, like, what people think about you that you don't even know. Right. And like, that's the worst thing you can do in this world, because the people that hold on to their brand, their integrity, authenticity, right, that they believe in, because experts are gone, right? Everyone here with AI can be an expert, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, I can be an expert on YouTube if I wanted to, and I can pretend to be the best in the world, Alec Hurt. No, it's not going to happen, right? Like, I need to be me. So, like, I want to be the authority in a space. And so, how do we actually do that? Being able to build relationship first, right? Relationship, value, connections. Dude, I told you in the beginning, Alec, like, it was the things that my mom taught me how to treat other human beings, exactly what I do. So, like, let me lay it out for you. And this is honestly how I got the name, the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn, because I was on a podcast and I laid this out, God, 8 years ago. I'm about to lay out the exact same thing I laid out 8 years ago that I still do today, and it still works. Like, that's what's crazy, right? Because I'm not fighting, I'm not trying to game, I'm not trying to hack the algorithm. I'm actually just trying to fall in line with what I love, is the human algorithm, the one algorithm that doesn't change. It just evolves slowly over time. And that works across all platforms. So the first thing my mom always taught me to do was to appreciate the little things in life, right? The one things that we take for granted all the time. I think, in the last couple of years, a lot of us understood that a lot better than we ever had, during a time called COVID, right? The things that we never thought would be taken away from us were. And when we got them back, we were like, wow, yeah, I never appreciated this. Biggest thing I never appreciated was my kids actually going to school rather than staying home and me trying to be a teacher. I might be a good, amazing entrepreneur, a good dad, but like, being a teacher, those teachers need to be paid more. Let me tell you right now. With that, right? So, like, the things that we take for online for granted, the human algorithm, when I look at it, Alec, is like, comment, share, post, like, comment, share, post. We've been conditioned over the last 20 years to be in this pattern, like, comment, share, post. That's what the social media platforms want. It wants to stay in this zone and just keep on rolling, never leaving their platform. But as marketers, we have to create stopgap in someone's pattern to create opportunity, right? To create attention, to get their attention, to be able to break a pattern. And so, like, what I look at is, on LinkedIn, I can see every single person that looks at my profile. I can see every person that engages on my content. So right there, that's engaging with people that engage with me. I started with a simple thank you. Hey, Alec, I saw you looked at my profile. I just want to reach out and say thank you, man. Too often we don't appreciate that. I'd love to be able to connect with you and find out what pushed you to look me up, right? If they looked you up, there's a reason why. Either they're looking for you or someone like you. That's it, right? That's opportunity. Next, you engaged in my content. Alec, again, man, dude, I just want to reach out and say thank you. I saw you looked at my recent post. Love to find out what pushed you to engage. Again, I'm starting a conversation, because what I want to be able to do is I want to put it in their court, rather than me telling them what I think they want to know. Hey, I'd love to hear your opinion. People love to give their opinions. Oh, I looked you up because of this, or I loved your content because of that. That's where we start this conversation, rather than the, hey, Alec, you wear shirts. Me too. Let's connect. Like, dude, I get this all the time. Or, hey, I've got an opportunity for you. If you connect with me, I might pitch you 10 times and hopefully eventually you'll delete me. That's what we don't want. And so that's where I start, right? That's the initial connection message I'm sending to my second degree connections. Now, the other side of that, Alec, do you know Sales Navigator, LinkedIn's built-in CRM system?
Yes. Yeah. Not super in depth. I have Sales Navigator, but not super in depth.
All right. So you pay the $100 a month for LinkedIn just for fun. Cool. I get it. No,
Yeah. I know. It's so fun. Yeah. But well, my team, I think, at one point used it a little bit more. But this is why I do this podcast. And this also, by the way, this I think is the important thing is, you can be an expert at one thing and admit like, hey, I don't really know that much about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So I always want to
oh
because
yeah.
I'm here to learn as well. So I'm curious. I've been doing more things on posting on LinkedIn. My understanding is having the premium profile gives me the call to action. So I think those were some of the things that we wanted.
There are
But
some things like that you want to be able to do. Yeah. I mean, and look, you're right. Like my daughter all the time, she goes, Dad, you're all over the socials. You got all these followers. Can you tell me how to do better on YouTube? I'm like, not the guy, but I'm about to talk to who is. So I got you. Don't worry. See, y'all don't even realize, like I'm teeing this up for Alec to be able to be the mentor for my daughter. Like this is where this is all going. I just have to give some of my time and teach y'all everything about LinkedIn. Anyways, I digress.
always
Here's the
happy,
thing.
always happy to help. I'm definitely happy to help. I started out
Yeah.
on YouTube, as you know, when I was like very young, so 12 years old, and built that up from here. So one of my favorite things is helping,
She's
young.
12 and has like 25,000 followers. So like she's almost got as many
Already
followers as me.
ahead. That's already
Yeah.
ahead of me. So that's awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Like some of her videos, she had one video that had a couple million views on it. It was just her playing a video game. I'm like, I'm out there trying to give value. I guess I should have just put some random junk on there. That's what works. No. Y'all are like, okay, we know about YouTube, Josh. Shut up. Go back to LinkedIn. My ADHD brain, y'all. Okay, so the other side of that, we got the people that engage with us, that find us. We also have to be able to, Alec, we can't put content out there and look up in the sky and go, okay, find me. Like, I don't care how well this is indexed on Google. You still have to be proactive in drawing in your ideal clients. So that's why we use Sales Navigator. It's LinkedIn's built-in CRM system. It has all the different tools, about $100 a month, and it allows you to be able to identify your ideal audience. Not only that, I can identify companies based on income and then be able to find the decision makers, all these different aspects. But the cool feature is I can actually see which of those ideal people actively post on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. That's the secret that I use, because on average engagement on LinkedIn is between 1% and 3%. Sometimes for most people, that's on the high end, right? Like sometimes it's below 1% average engagement rates. So like when we look at that, if I want to get your attention, what I want to do is I want to go in, if you're my ideal client, I'm going to go in and like your post, comment on it, and then reach out. Hey, Alec, I saw your recent post, man. So I reach out and say, thank you. I really appreciate the value added about YouTube. Really was, I want to make sure we stay connected. That is so different than every other connection message. All we're doing is saying thank you. Thank you to someone that's not expecting a thank you for something they take for granted, creates stopgaps in their pattern. That is the first initial dopamine hit that you're giving someone, not to elevate them. People get confused. Oh, they're like dopamine, elevation. In the cleanest sense, dopamine actually puts you in flow state, allowing you to build a connection deeper with someone. And this is why most social media platforms do dopamine hits, because they want you in flow state. So you just kind of just stay in there. Like you're feeling like you're with your best friend, because that's what they want you to, So they don't want you to have real friends. So that's where it starts out, right? I'm always looking for, I hate cold call and I hate cold email. So I'm looking for trigger points. My 3 trigger points are, did they look at my profile? Did they engage in my content? Or did my ideal audience post on LinkedIn, right? That's the thing. Those are 3 trigger points. That's my connection message, my thank you. They connect. That's my next trigger, right? I never send a message out or a new next follow-up until they take action. This is the difference between everyone else on LinkedIn. Like you'll get that message, you don't respond, they're going to hit you with 5 more. Now they'll scrape your phone number, they'll text you, they'll scrape your email, they'll email you, and then eventually they'll piss you off enough that you might delete them. But that's what they're hoping, right? Like, so we're always looking for that action. Once they connect, this is when you pitch. No, I'm joking. This is when everyone messes up. Do not pitch. Just as someone connects with you, don't pitch. My mom, she always taught me when you meet someone new, you give them a compliment, right? Like, wow, dude, I love the background, man. I can see Austin behind you. That's amazing. Like it's so good to be able to see you. Some people, right, randomly you meet it like, man, dude, love your jacket, cool shoes, whatever it might be. We do these, we give compliments when you meet someone new. You don't walk up like, hey, I'm Josh. Like, you want to buy my LinkedIn services? Hey, you will throw people off a bit. And so
A lot of people do that. A lot of there's
all the
so
time.
many. I guarantee anybody watching this can just log into their LinkedIn account and look at all the
Yeah.
messages, of people doing that exact thing. So we
Because they're
laugh.
doing the spray, what I call the spray and pray, brother. They're hoping that they spray and pray and hope that they get one sale or one opportunity. And they're like, it'll eventually work. I don't want to play that game. But yeah,
Yeah.
we will all see that. And so, as I said, a compliment. Well, the compliment on LinkedIn for me is on your LinkedIn profile. When you connect with someone, you can see at the bottom of their page, LinkedIn endorsements. I'm not talking about being able to, be able to write a recommendation. An endorsement is, hey, they're good at social media marketing. They're good at YouTube, whatever it is. And I'll go through and we'll actually give one or two endorsements to their profile. That it's not me sending a message because LinkedIn actually goes, hey, Alec, Josh endorsed you for YouTube. Do you want to say thank you? Right. So I've said thank you to them first. I compliment them for them taking an action. They've connected. Now I've given them endorsement without asking for a thing, another dopamine hit. LinkedIn says, hey, do you want to say thank you? Most people just hit that button. Hey, Josh, thank you so much for endorsing me for YouTube. Cool thing about this is the conversation has flipped. Now you are sending me the first message. So internally in the human ethos of what we're doing is you've messaged me now first. Hey, Josh, thank you for endorsing me for marketing. Man, really appreciate that. Dude, no problem. This is our opportunity to say, no problem, happy to do it, and ask about them. Qualify. Hey, man, the best question I ever created, and I've done a lot of them, but I created it for Dan Sullivan, and Joe Polish loved it so much he used it as well, which was, hey, Alec, man, happy to do it. Hey, quick question for you while we have you, because I always love to be able to understand someone's mindset. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur or a business owner with an entrepreneur? Now, that question, what allows me to be able to do is it allows me to understand their state. Because if you go, hey, are you making six figures yet? Or do you make money? Or do you do sales? Like asking finance, people are like, dude, I don't know you. I'm not going to ask. But like, again, we're trying to make them the expert. And I want to give them a question that makes them think. In that question there, entrepreneur, my thought is early on in their career, or if they're a 20-year entrepreneur, I'm going to be honest, they're probably burning the candle at both ends and they're exhausted because you and I both know as an entrepreneur, you are constantly in hustle mode. So that tells me where they're at in their business. If they say business owner with an entrepreneurial mindset, they probably have a more of a growth mindset. They probably have a team. They're probably farther along, right? That's opportunity. Or if they say, because it happens, hey, you know what? Actually, I work for somebody else, right? That's silent answer C. So being able to have a qualifying question that asks more where your ideal audience is mentally, where they're thinking in their business, actually gives you more insight to who they are and where you can actually start a conversation and build a relationship. And now I can respond based on entrepreneur. Cool. Hey, you know what? I've got an amazing webinar coming up. I'd love to invite you to it, right? Like they're not ready, but you can nurture them in a deeper way. So business owner, I love people that think that way. Any chance you want to jump on a call with me and just, I'd love to talk more about how you got to that thinking. Right now, I'm making it about them. We can have a real conversation. Or silent as see I work for somebody else. Like with Dan, we actually helped him relaunch the book Who Not How that he rewrote with Ben Hardy, who is another fun person I'm actually talking to in a couple of days here. I haven't talked to in a while. And if you guys don't know him, amazing. It was being able to go through that we actually just did a free plus shipping on a book, right? So like there was 3 different pathways that I could set my team up and they would know if this, then that based on how the response was, and they would just look for those trigger points. So I know that seems like a lot, but when you actually put it on a piece of paper, it's very easy. Engaged, connect, endorse, and respond to endorsement, ask a question, respond to the question, provide value. And that's the thing I want everyone to pay attention to. When they give you the answer that you do not want to hear, that it shows you that they are not your client, do not show them or let them understand crickets, right? The emptiness. Like, oh, dude, where'd Alec go? Oh, hey, dude, we were talking. Always leave a conversation with value, because if they're not ready now, they might be ready later. And if they're not ready right now either, they might know 10 other friends they might want to refer your way. So if you're nice to them and give them value, give a conversation no matter what, that's where the magic happens.
I love it. I love it. And so that's a great way to, really build those connections and bring people in. Once they're there, how does the content strategy work? I know one of the things I believe you talk about is the 10, 20, 70, content strategy. What is that and how does that work?
Yeah. Now, before we get into that, I want to make sure I tell everyone, like Alex working me the opposite way I would usually go. And I love him. So I'm kind of going this way because I have to say this, brother, because if I teach everyone how to do messaging, and I teach them how to build content, and we don't make sure that they've rocked out their LinkedIn profile,
Oh,
I'm going to
cool.
tell y'all, I can teach y'all everything about creating the best content in the world, about creating how to do messaging. If they go to your profile and it looks like a resume, they're going to bounce. So like,
Okay.
I just want everyone, I want to just mention that we can go into it later, but like,
So let's do this. Let's dive into
okay,
the profile first. Then we'll
okay,
hit content, and we've also just opened a loop.
okay.
So a
I
little
just,
teaching on YouTube and podcasts. Now there's a whole other thing that's coming in a second. So we've opened a loop for later. So yes, let's
beautiful.
start where you want to start because I was going to dive into the profile. And this is also, see, you're giving me a masterclass because
Yeah.
I was thinking message and connect. Okay, what's the content? And then, okay, now it leads them back to the profile. But you're saying, no, the profile is like even more important to set up. So
Because they
that
go to the profile and you haven't set it up,
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
they're going
Well,
to
it
bounce.
makes sense. It makes sense. Well, exactly. Like, so, all right, how does the profile work? What does that look like? Because obviously it is such a big, important part.
And I mean, like, listen, this is why I do this, right? Because I think that most people think your way as well, right? They think, oh, I've got to get to my messaging, I get my content, and then I'll worry about my profile later. But like, they want to make sure they're dealing with a real person. I mean, dude, I don't know if you spent time back again. I hate to mention the C word again, but COVID, we were all on Clubhouse. You know how many trillionaires were on that platform? Like, I'm like, wow, you're a trillionaire, huh? Like, you spend all day on this platform, just talking, like, amazing. Like, people want to understand that they're really actually talking to a human being that has the ability and the chops to be able to actually back up what they're talking about. And so that's where your profile starts out, and that builds connection. Because look, I can talk to any YouTube expert, but when I look at your profile and I see, oh, dude, he's in Austin, Texas. We have a lot of mutual friends. Now I'm finding commonality. Your profile is your chance to be able to tell your career story, your career journey, not just build a resume out. No one wants to see a resume. They want to hear a story. And so like that's what I'm talking about with on LinkedIn, like being able to do that from having a banner that is actually used to be able to grab someone's attention. Like telling them what you do, how you can help build an emotional connection. That's the biggest piece of real estate on there, right? Your LinkedIn headline. Like this, most people go podcast host or YouTube expert. I'm going to push back and say that's all about you, right? And I don't, that's cool. That's what you do, but that has nothing to do with me. When I read something, I want to make sure I get, we're all selfish in that way. We always want like, oh, this is for me. And so like, I always use the XYZ statement. I help X to achieve Y so they can have or achieve Z. So I help X, ideal client, identifies immediately, oh, that's me or that's not. We don't want to waste time with everybody. There's people we can help and there's people we can't. The people we can are time suckers. And even if they can pay us, there's going to be a problem. They're going to suck our time down the line and it's not going to work out well in the long run anyway. Why is what we do. This is what most marketers try and sell all the time. Hey, I do YouTube ads. Cool, right? Like, what's the outcome of that, right? And Alec, you do this really, really well because, like, you don't just say, "Hey, I do YouTube ads." You tell them why, what the outcome is, what the vision is, what they can actually achieve by actually having stellar YouTube ads that actually draw in and create the relationships with the right people. And that's what people want. That's that Z. That's the emotional outcome. And so like, that's what I want people to think about. X, Y, Z. I help X to achieve Y so they can accomplish Z. Because that Z outcome, as human beings, we're emotional beings. We make decisions based on some degree of love or hate. We don't make decisions being indifferent. And most people in this world are indifferent because they're scared to be polarizing, be different from the crowd. And that's just wasting time, the one resource we don't get back. So profile, go through that. XYZ statement. Next, fill everything out, y'all. I mean, I'm not talking about like your last two jobs. I was talking to a good friend of ours, Alec Giovanni, the other day. Oh, probably the other day, probably like 2 months ago. But we were talking about the profile. He's like, what do you mean? I go, well, dude, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, my first job on there is I worked as a server at Chili's. He's like, really? I go, yeah. I wasn't born the CEO of Standout Authority. And that's what most people put on there. Like, I want people to understand. They go, man, Josh worked at Chili's. Me too. Right now, that gap between me and them has gotten smaller. Now they can bridge that gap and be able to connect with me rather than going, oh, Josh is way over here. Alex, this amazing badass on YouTube. We have commonalities. We've been there. And that's what you have to do. And like, I remember Gio was like, well, I worked at like Payless shoe store or something like that. I sold shoes. I'm like, then put it on your profile, right? That's what I want everything. Don't skip anything. every piece is a way not only to be able to tell your story, but we talked about being indexed, right? Like not only your content on LinkedIn's indexed, your profile are super indexed. I promise you, Alec, if you go right now, well, you being the YouTube expert you are, maybe your YouTube channel will show up differently, but 90% of the people watching right now, when they go in and they search their name on Google, if not the first, the top 3 results, one of those will be their LinkedIn profile, even if they barely touch it. And so that's why your LinkedIn profile is so important, y'all, because they have to be able to understand your career journey, your career story, and be able to see highlights of people talking about you using all the different aspects from like people go, well, it has nothing to do with your business, but I have on there for the last 7 years, I've been the resident Spider-Man at Dell Children's Hospital here in Austin, Texas. Like I want people to understand what I do outside of business, right? I want them to connect on a human level because that's where we, in essence, that's how we all connect. So that's why I want everyone to take the profile. Because if they go through the messaging, go to your profile and they see like, dude, probably some sales guy that's going to pitch me or it's nothing there. Like you just wasted your time on messaging and content. So that's why I wanted to touch profile. I didn't go super deep on it, but I think everyone gets the gist.
I love that. It's actually kind of funny because it sounds like the one thing that before this I actually have been doing. I had all the old stuff and it's good validation to say that
Yeah.
you put it on there, but that makes so much sense. And you get such a more humanizing feel. Like you talking about Chili's and being the resident Spider-Man. I mean, that's so awesome. Like that you do that. And I can totally see, somebody going through and looking at that. And I've seen more of your content on LinkedIn. I didn't do as much of a deep dive, but I'm sure like, people doing a deep dive on your profile itself, like that's just going to build that humanizing side of things. So I love that and it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So
And it flows right into the content, man. And you started this off and I interrupt you going, oh, we can't go into that. The 10, 20, 70, we can't do it. But like the reason why I do this is because it flows right into my 10, 20, 70
yeah,
rule of content. Like, Alec, you've heard of the 80-20 principle, right? That we go through that and people use it in many different scenarios. Oh, Alex heard me talk about this, but like the 10, 20, 70 is 10% personal, 20% company, 70% aggregation of value. And so like, I'll break that down for everybody. And then Alec, you can kind of talk a little bit deeper about it, but the 10% personal, we're all human, right? Like I said, like human beings connect with other human beings. Human beings don't connect with businesses. Now, it's not Facebook, right? I don't need to know when your kids are going to school, but I need to know if you have them. Like if you're a dad, like Josh is a dad, me too, right? I bet there's commonality, but there's connection. Oh, Alec, you live in Austin? Me too, right? Like there's ways for us to be able to go in and be able to go, I bet we relate. As human beings, we always look for the people like you and I are in multiple different mastermind groups together. And there's a reason why, right? Because we look for those people that we have commonalities with. And that's the same thing with your content. Now, we only do it 10% of the time because again, I just need you to know, right? Like it's what I call my door to the couch mentality. Like instead of me knocking on your door going, "Hey, I'm Josh. I'm here to be able to sell you this hat." And you're like, "No, thank you. I'm good. I don't care what you're selling." But Alec, if you and I are sitting on a couch, I'm like, dude, I just got this new hat. You're more apt because we have some kind of commonality built together, that personal connection. You go, dude, what is it? Tell me, why'd you buy it? That's you're inviting me in. You're inviting the connection. That's why that 10% in personal is so important on a platform. Like number 2, 20% content around your company. Now, I don't want to know what you can do for someone, y'all. I want you to tell me what you have done for someone else, right? I want you to be a storyteller of value of all the amazing things that you've done for people that you've worked with. That is so important. I don't want to see those people that we used to see all the time walking down the side of the road, seeing a Ferrari, leaning on it, going, "Hey, I could teach you how to be able to buy this Ferrari because I didn't buy it either because I'm leaning on it because it's someone else's," right? Like we don't want that fakeness, right? Like I want you to go, man, I remember this one time I was working with Alaric and he sat down with my daughter and it was amazing what he was able to take with her YouTube profile and to be able to take it from where it was now to actually being able to not just be in a tube that she had fun on, but how she could actually make money. And at 12 years old, the change that he was able to do for her was astounding. And let me tell you, as a father, what I can see for my when I can do something like that for my daughter, that's what stands out. And people like Alec are the people you want to work with. That's a post, right? That's what we want to be able to see. I'll share that here soon once it all happens. But
I love it.
that's what I want to be. And we only do this 20% of the time, Alec, because of the fact that, again, You don't want to be that person in the room. Everyone on LinkedIn's always talking about what they do, who they are, what all this stuff. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like, there's Josh. Avoid that dude never shuts up about LinkedIn, right? So we only do that 20% of the time. And the last piece, the most pivotal, something you and I already touched about, that's 70%. Always add value, right? Aggregator of value. I can sit here and I guarantee you, Alaric, you have probably some of the best listeners in the world. You probably have people that will take action on information. But you and I both know in this world, I can show you exactly how to do every piece that I want to do. And when they go, man, that's amazing, that's a lot of work. Can you do it for me? That's what I want everyone to understand with, right? Share it. They can't be you without you. And I want everyone to be able to get there eventually, right? And I want to be able to be, like I said, I don't need to be an expert. I want to be the authority. I want to be the place that everyone goes every single day to understand what's going on in the spaces that I speak about. So my LinkedIn becomes a destination website for them that they go to every single day. And so that's the 10-20-70 method of content creation. When you do that perfectly, I do that in content and in video. When you look at my videos that I just told you, like my content that's generated 20 million views, that's what I'm doing every single day. And I'm not posting every single day. 90% of the time, I'm posting 3 times a week. We do that for myself. We do it for most of our clients compared to other platforms like Twitter, AKA X, like where you have to post 3 times a day, if not more. Like we're talking 3 times a week to be able to get a higher level of audience and a deeper impact of connection.
I love that. And really breaking it down in that way and getting to connect on the human level, talking about the business, but then just leading with so much value. I think it makes so much sense, and having that be a big part of the strategy, it's just a much more natural way to do it and a more value-driven way of doing it too. Well, they also get to know you and what you're doing. You mentioned, kind of taking a look at AI at a certain point and training and having like 50 pages. It's something I've been asking everybody on the Marketing Minds podcast. What are you doing with AI? What should you do? What should you not do? Any tools that you're using? How are you using AI to help with all of this, especially when it comes to content, but just overall?
Yeah, dude. I mean, like this is the thing. Everyone listening right now, if you're not learning AI, you're behind the 8 ball. Like I'm teaching my 12-year-old and my 15-year-old how to be able to incorporate AI in what they're doing, not just at school, but what their future plans are doing. My son is, dude, Alec, my 15-year-old son just told me the other day he's getting a certification in graphic design while in high school. Freaking amazing. He's like, yeah, Dad, by the time I graduate, I'm going to have 3 different, banners that I'm going to be able to wear on my gown, right? Like when I graduate, I'm like, dude, that's amazing. I go, but we've had the conversation too, like being able to do graphic design. Let me show you what I've done, right? Like I just finished updating my book, Balance is Bullshit, that I wrote 4 or 5 years ago, and how to integrate life and work rather than trying to live this whole work-life balance. And I was able to actually go through and take a lot of my concepts and use AI to be able to help me update it faster because it already knew my voice. But with him, I said, look at these graphics. Before in the old book, I had to send this off at a graphic designer like you, go through it, take him a couple days. Now, if I actually show exactly what I need and what I'm doing, I can have 13 different graphic designs done in a day. And he goes, I'm sorry, honestly, I probably haven't done it in an hour. And he goes, I could probably do 1 a day. I said, but this is where everything's going, right? Like you have the eye, you have the ability to be able to do the graphic design. You know it better than me. If you can actually take that and verbalize it to an AI on how to be able to design it, it will do the base work for you. And then you come in as the 10%, put your special touch on it. And that's what I want everyone to understand through this story is AI is a tool. That's where it is right now. And that we have to understand any tool in the right person's hands can create a masterpiece or can create destruction. And so like, that's and it needs that human being to be able to put that 10% on, right? It can do 90% most times if you're really taking the time, energy, and effort to train it the way it is, but it can't be everything. And so, Alec, when you ask, yeah, dude, I'm paying $200 a month for ChatGPT Pro. I'm paying for Claude. I'm paying for, I could mention almost every different one because I'm leveraging them interchangeably. I honestly sometimes battle them against each other, and I'll do some writing in Claude because it writes better. It's actually on the AWS platform. And then I'll actually then send that over for technical edits over on ChatGPT. And then I'll share those edits back over to, that's that whole piece, right? Like it's really cool on where we're going with it. And does it speed up opportunity? Percent. Is it better than humans? No, because it doesn't have that emotional connection yet. And I'm not sure it ever will. Like it'll be able to fake it, but it hasn't lived our lives, right? Like, and that's the biggest piece I want everyone to understand. Like, can it get you faster? Like, I'm using it for like, hey, I wanted to go, I need to be able to, I want a 10x strategy to be able to boost my business this year. If I just say that to AI, the amount of different random crap that it'll give me will be so out of spectrum of what I do, what I stand for, what our company helps with. But because I taught it and I took that time to be able to understand, I mean, I'll have to sing you one of like the AI profiles. Maybe I'll even do one on you, right? Because you got enough information on you, and I'll go through and I'll sing you the AI deck on really how deep it goes. You probably have done one already, but we'll see how mine compares. But voice, tonality, storytelling, different researches, all those different aspects, it's able to be able to actually build that aspect. As I'm looking over here, I've got it designing a family crest for me right? Like something that a good friend of mine, Garrett Gunderson, told me to do years ago. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get to it. Like as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, I have had so many ideas throughout my life, but I'm telling you right now, like I am the visionary. I am the quick start. I can get the idea started off the ground, but if I don't have an amazing team to support me and take it to fruition, it's an idea that gets left on the floor all the time. And this happens to so many amazing human beings in this world. Now, man, it's a fun time. Like I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, Jeff, the other day, McPherson, and he's like, he runs an AI company, and he's like, dude, I'm working more than I ever have. He's like, people think that because I got AI, I'm working less. I go, same, but I'm excited about it. Like I'm doing more work, but I'm getting more work done. I'm busier than I ever have, but I'm doing 10x the amount of things that I could never do before because I have to be able to stay in my zone of genius, and I'm able to do that with AI. So like, hopefully that was a lot of stories that actually made sense, but yeah, I'm excited about
It makes a lot of sense, and I've noticed the exact same thing diving into AI is, and actually it's very funny you say that because I feel like I'm doing more things and working harder, but I'm getting so much more output, which is also one of the things that gives you the dopamine to say, okay, let me just do a little bit more here because the output is just so tremendous. And then you're also not as constrained by thinking about like, okay, I don't want to overload my team. Let's get really good at one thing. It's like, all right, well, no, I just fire this off to ChatGPT, fire this off to Claude, fire the, and see what happens. And then of course the team is really great, and the human element, and they also are all now empowered with AI. So just the things that you can do is amazing.
it. Yeah.
I'm curious, kind of switching gears a little bit, how
Yeah.
much you've seen LinkedIn ads, kind of play into different things with the different companies you work with. And I know a lot of your specialty is on the organic side, but I'm curious what you're seeing on the ad side. If you have any insights to share or anything you've noticed there.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, LinkedIn ads are changing. It wasn't something that was needed before, but like any platform, like, look, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. So like they're the biggest corporation out there. And there's always influence that kind of comes in different spectrums. And so with LinkedIn, what we're seeing is we're seeing a shift in the ads. Like they still haven't taken away, like you lost a lot of the features that you could do advertising on and targeting on Facebook. Like those, you actually have the depth, a lot of the features that you lost on Facebook back on LinkedIn that were never taken away and actually getting more. Like with anything, right? Like we use LinkedIn ads if we're doing a launch maybe, but we don't use it all the time. Like you have to have, because like you said, the cost of LinkedIn ads is so expensive. Like you are competing against Fortune 100 companies that have budgets that are insane. I tell everyone, if you don't have $20,000 to $30,000 for 2 to 3 months to test to get it to work, don't try, right? Because that's how it is. So like that's why we use the organic side to level that up and offset the cost that to be able to make it a better opportunity to be able to use the LinkedIn ads. So like we do different aspects. Like I'll go through the same thing. I'll use my engagement engine with LinkedIn ads. So here's how we do it. Lead gen form is amazing. It's great to be able to use to be able to get kind of information. But a lot of the things, the cheapest way to do LinkedIn ads is to boost a post. So what I'll do is I'll take my best performing posts on my personal, because people think you want to take your company posts and share them to your personal posts. Wrong. Human beings, it's a human first platform. You want to take your personal posts because that has the most visibility and share your best posts onto your company page. So it's like a container full of your best content, not only from you, but from everyone at your company, right? Highlight all the different humans. In those best posts, what I'll do is I'll boost them to be able to get more visibility. What does that do? That gives me more likes, more comments, Now I can drop back into my engagement engine and actually start conversations with these people with the right opportunity, with the right targeting. And so that's where we see it. There's a lot of new things. There's some thought leader posts that are coming out to be able to actually boost, like if you're looking for that thought leader aspect. I'm seeing a lot of different shifts, but I believe it's becoming more and more opportunities to use LinkedIn ads than it used to before, because they're coming up with some, look, they're it's Microsoft, it's LinkedIn. They always watch everyone else do it, then they do it, right? I'm not going to say they do it. You would say, oh, they wait last to do it perfectly. They don't always do it perfectly either, but they do come in last, and they do, when it does come out, a lot of times it's very well used. There are ways to be able to do it. There are reasons to be able to do it. Until you're actually needing a launch, you're doing massive traffic, unless you have your organic game going, the average person, unless you are doing, again, unless you've got that excess money to be able to spend, to be able to learn, be careful, because it can burn you. The only way I would ever push anyone, Alec, to be able to do LinkedIn ads right now, right out the gate, is that boost to be able to bring visibility to a post that you've already got social proof on your personal page. Does that help?
Yeah, yeah, that helps and that makes sense. And also just thinking of the value of all the organic impressions, like 20 million, organic views. It's
And
like
look, we've made a
that.
lot of money with those organic views because we
Oh,
turn those into conversations. And
yes,
so that's the big thing. Like it's not just that. I mean, the opportunity that we've created at the company for our training programs, for the opportunity for, our done for you programs, for all those other aspects, it's converted, because it wasn't just slept on. It wasn't like, oh, cool, look at me, I've got a new stat. It was, look at all these people that engage. Because if I get 20 million views and no one engages, that's called branding. That's cool. But again, I'm just creating content for content's sake. I don't need more content. I'd rather have 20 million views is amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm very excited about it, but because of how we actually create it and how we do our engagement, it converts into opportunity. Most people just do views and they get nowhere. On LinkedIn, you can actually create massive opportunity from a post that gets 1,000 views. You just have to understand how to be able to leverage it.
absolutely, absolutely. So one of the last couple questions here. You mentioned the LinkedIn page, and
Yeah.
this was something that I recently had a bit of a epiphany or realization that my LinkedIn page for ad outreach has more followers than me, which kind of is embarrassing, which is kind of funny. But it's got over 20,000 followers, and
Amazing.
I think I may have asked you, or I asked my team. It might have been back then. I was just like, what happened? Like, how does my page have this many followers? And it turns out that the LinkedIn job posts that we're running, and we've got LinkedIn Recruiter, so we have
Oh,
job ads going out there. Actually, funny story. I'll tell you this. I don't know if I told you
that's a
this.
hack if you didn't know it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So this hack, but we'll lead into that. So at one point, so we were running these LinkedIn job ads, and we are like, oh, we need a LinkedIn job filled. Yeah, put $50 a day, $100 a day behind this like LinkedIn job ad. Target exactly who we want for the job, and then we get like so many applications, fill the position really fast. And so we were spending like thousands and thousands a month on these LinkedIn job ads. We had a LinkedIn person reach out to us, one of the LinkedIn reps, and they said we were in the top 2% of people spending on job ads, which was crazy to me because we're not in that percent. And then they proceeded, which I actually really appreciate this. They proceeded to say, we love that you're doing this, but you can just do Recruiter and we'll automatically post, like boost these, and you actually will
Yeah.
probably get even more traction for like a fraction of the cost. And so it's kind of funny. So we were just looking, we were like, oh yeah, we'll just throw the. Obviously also we signed up for a long-term contract. So they traded
Yeah.
the individual ones for a long-term contract, but now we're on LinkedIn Recruiter. But anyways, as we've been doing that, we realized that we've been getting followers. So I'll hand it over to you because you know what I'm about to say. Like, how, like, can you
I,
explain that?
I I didn't even realize you had done that, but yeah, that is a secret little
Yeah.
tool that most, because it's going to be cheaper, right? LinkedIn job ads. So if you go through and target your exact audience to be able to go through, and you put an ad out, hey, I'm looking around just to consider trying to be able to understand whatever it might be, the amount of followers that you can get at an extremely low cost, and then you have to be able to make sure that you're actually putting the right content on your page, dude. It's gangbusters. I mean, it really is. Like, you got 20,000 followers. I know Fortune 1,000 companies that don't have 20,000 followers. I mean, so like, yes, you are in the top 2% because you found a secret that people only kind of talk about in the back rooms of like, don't tell anybody, but like you can use LinkedIn job ads to be able to actually build your follower count on your company page. So that's a brilliant move on your team that you guys were able to do that inadvertently. But dude, I mean, like what else? I mean, have you guys leveraged that? That's the bigger thing.
That's my next question, because we're really not leveraging it at all. And so I'm curious, and we don't have to go into the super, however in depth you want to go, but what is the company, and I've got time, so it's up to you, however in depth you want to go. But what is the best strategy for a company page? By the way, before you ask, I just, as in like 2 weeks ago, launched a newsletter to that as well. And so I'm sure enough, we have over 1,000 people on that newsletter now. It's just hilarious. So you could do,
you can have three newsletters per company page and 3 for your profiles. That's the other thing. Like we didn't even, you didn't know that, did you?
No, I did not. 3. That's crazy.
So you can segregate your audience.
Wow.
And be able to go through based on your different offers, based on your different targets, all that kind of stuff like that. So like, yeah, like if you, for your personal and for your company, like let's say you have 2 or 3 different companies, have 3 different newsletters for every company page, right? Like, so that's the craziness that you can go through to be able to do this organically, right? Like these are the different aspects of being able to do that. And with newsletters, you can actually have a CTA off the newsletter without getting dinged. You and I both know on social, if you actually pull off platform, they don't like that. And so like the only way you can do that on LinkedIn well without issue is a LinkedIn newsletter. Now, back to company pages, this is where you advertise, right? This is where you're going to be able to go through. They are testing now, allowing you to boost personal posts with a very select few of audience. So we might see that roll out. I'll see if they roll it back. It's been interesting to be able to see, because you and I both know most platforms don't let you do that. Be able to put ads on your personal page. It always has to go through your company page. We use it as an aggregator of our humans, right? Like we at Standard Authority, from me and Rachel to our other team, all their best posts we put on there, right? Like it humanizes the brand, being able to go through. It allows people to be able to not only see me, but to be able to see the other people, how my employees work, how my business partner, my wife, works at the company, what she does, what she stands for. And so like that's where we use a lot of those pages. And look, y'all, I hate the words B2B or B2C, but it is a sheer fact that 80% of all B2B leads across social media still come from LinkedIn. And that comes from your company page. So when you're building out your company page, if you got a CTA on there, a link out, you better make sure that you actually have it tracked, a UTM code, something like that, or at least a separate thing. Because most people just put their company page. That's cool. But like if they're just going to where they're just going to flow, like why? Right? You want to make sure it aligns with what you're actually trying to do. Do you want them to contact you? Cool. Send it to your contact us page. You want them to check out your new offer? Make sure it's going to that page, right? Like you want to be intentional of where you're sending your traffic and why, because every company page shows you how many people are clicking on those links, how much traffic you're getting, what are you doing with it, how many views are you actually getting. So all these different aspects. Here's the big thing. We don't do a lot of LinkedIn advertising. Haven't needed it. Maybe we'll change. I was doing a podcast the other day, and I think it was one of those podcasts where I got interviewed to do the podcast so they could sell me their services. Found out later, like, oh, we do sales for everyone. Like, I kind of knew it, but like, it was like, I didn't do my due diligence on this one. But we use the company page to really be able to go through and build LinkedIn events. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I do, and we do this for all of our clients. So we have 3 different, I talked about the engagement, and there's 3 outcomes, right? Our 3 outcomes are we going to nurture them with, a free offer? Are we going to invite them to a webinar or get them on a call? Every single client we do, when we're going through a qualifying question, it's leading to one of those 3 outcomes. The event we run every 4 to 6 weeks for our clients. We run it from their company page. So let's say I ran an event that you and I are going to do on LinkedIn, which we're talking about for something future that you're going to be launching. Just talk about it yet. So like I just, I'm excited. I'm going to run it from Standard Authority. I'm going to put you and I as the speakers. The cool thing is on that, as an event page, run from your company page, I can invite up to 1,000 of my connections every single week. And so can you. So if we do a 4 to 6 week promotion, Alec, that means that, let's say it's 4 weeks, that means you and I can invite 8,000 of our connections to this event. Everyone that registers, if you do an event, LinkedIn event page from your personal page, cool, they register. You do it from your company page, you get their first name, you get their last name, you get their email address, all GDPR certified.
What?
Compliant. So now, Not only can I nurture them pre and post event, we see about a 25 to 30% show up rate. Well, on most of our clients, we get 200 to 1,000 people that show up to the events. We're doing this every single month, being able to go in. Now I can nurture them pre and post via email as well. And now we're not doing the usual, hey, let me do an affiliate play and we'll pass around emails that everyone already has. You're actually collecting new email addresses of people that are interested in what you're talking about and that you're either potentially connected with. And when LinkedIn sees that, what you want to be able to do too, I know I jumped from company page to LinkedIn event, but like it's all connected, y'all. When they see you doing events, they'll start putting more people to your company page. So they'll start being more people to your offers. They'll start promoting your events because it's coming from your company page. Like all these things, it works. Like it pushes LinkedIn to do the work for you to get more visibility to you rather than you having to find your ideal audience. That's why we do all these things.
That's amazing. I didn't know you got all the contact details too. That's really interesting.
You have to click in, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It's been a long day, but there's one button you have to click, like collect lead form, right? Okay. If you don't click that, and y'all, I'll make sure I'll send it to Alec so he's send it the notes or whatever it is. But I'll make sure he knows how to do it. So next time he does an event, make sure y'all sign up and you'll see how it works. But like, dude, it's gangbusters. I mean, not only are we able to create massive value on LinkedIn for our clients, but when we're doing this as well as a byproduct, we're actually doing the educate the masses, which actually turns an opportunity as well, because you can't get on 1,000 phone calls a day, or a month yourself. Some people don't have sales teams to be able to take all that kind of opportunity. And so like you're able to do this, and then you're able to actually build your email list as well too. And I think that's going to be more important in today's world than ever before, being able to own, being able to own your audience. Because you and I, no matter how amazing we're on YouTube or we're on LinkedIn, those aren't our islands. We don't own them. At any point in time, they could change, they could shut down, they could close, they could go away. But an email list allows us to do that. So that's one reason why the company page is important, being able to create that and being able to have that silo of all the human beings that work at your company, and then creating LinkedIn events from that page, create opportunity outside of the platform.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. So as we wrap up here, and we're going to have one final golden nugget in a second. So make sure you stay tuned. We're also going to hear about how you can find out more about Joshua and everything all the dopamine he's dealing on LinkedIn. I think I know his first place to go and favorite platform there. But a question I always like to ask people, and this is my last kind of question, then we'll get where you want to go and any final golden nuggets. So I'm a big believer in this. I know you are as well. In kind of the entrepreneur's mindset. It's like either win. I had these coins made, by the way. I'm going to get you one of these next time we see each other. But it's either win or learn. And at the bottom, it says learning is winning. We send these out to clients. And so what's an example of a time that you made a mistake, or maybe from the outside, it might have looked like a failure, but you realized that it was a learning lesson. It really helped you grow and actually helped your business.
I don't know if we have, enough time in the day to be able to go through all the lessons I've learned over 20 years, man.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I learned, there's been a couple. One of the hardest ones I learned was back probably 2008. And this is when I was in the online advertising space, XML feeds, things like that, search marketing. And, I remember I was in Vegas with a buddy of mine. I say buddy as in corporate, company buddy, he worked at another company. And he had recently just sold, and we're at the Playboy Club at the Palms Casino playing blackjack. We're talking about his sale. He just sold his company for 25 mil. And he's like, dude, I know you're working on a back-end platform right now. He's like, look, let me do this, man. I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to give you the source code that I just sold, and I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for cheap, man. I'll sell it $1.5, $2 million, right? And I mean, I knew that it was a make or break opportunity, right? Like I could actually jump ahead of what I was building. It could take me another 12 months to be able to get there, or I could be able to go in. And I did a handshake deal. I said, let's do it, right? The biggest lesson, that lesson right there, because I didn't do my due diligence, because I didn't look into what I was moving for, because I was trying to move fast, not thorough, thoughtful. Because again, most people in this world try to go through and go, how can I make the money the fastest and get there the fastest, rather than how can I make this work the longest? And it cost me over $10 million over the next year in revenue, because we bought the platform, I spent the money, and it was duct taped together. It was made for the person he sold it for. And I didn't take the time, energy, and effort to be able to understand who I was working with and what they were selling. Because again, I was like, oh, buddies, they're going to treat me the same way I would treat them. No, that's not this world right now. And as entrepreneurs, like, we have to understand that we will always have our best interest at heart. Like you and I wear our heart on our sleeves, and we've been taken advantage of. I know I have over the years because of that, because I always want to do right for people, and I always want to believe that they have the same belief that I have, right? Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And like that was a hard lesson to learn. So like for any entrepreneur going in and learning, like I'll tell you, like before you make a decision, before you leap, like one, look, everyone, even if you're going to leap into entrepreneurship, do your due diligence, look at what your audience, look what you're trying to accomplish, be able to take the time to be able to do that because what they say really matters. It's an old saying, but you want to measure twice, cut once. And that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, that we're talking about 2008. I was already starting to bleed $1,000 a month because I was cool. I had my servers on the backbone of the internet in LA, next to PlayStation, and I was like, yay. But dude, that was expensive because everyone else was like, ad budgets. This is the first thing we're cutting back in 2008 when everything's falling apart. And it was a hard lesson to learn. But because I answered the phone, because I showed up, because even when times got tough, I talked and had the tough conversations. I'm here today having this conversation with you.
Yeah. Really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's one of the things that's so important. It's like what you talked about on the LinkedIn profile of seeing where you came from, right? It's like everybody has these learning lessons. Everybody has these challenges, and to hear it from other people, even if it's just one small piece inside of a podcast, I think it really helps other people see that when they go through challenges, they're not alone, and that they can, flip it on its head and learn from it as well. So really appreciate you sharing that and sharing all of this value. It has been fantastic. Yeah. Where can people find you? And I think I know the answer to this. But also, where else do you want to send them? Anything you want to promote here on the podcast?
Oh, man, of course, y'all can always check out my website, standoutauthority.com. We've got a lot of amazing things there. Alec, LinkedIn, I love it. But like, this is the whole piece, right? Like, don't go on there and just hit the button, right? Like, again, I said, I'm not playing Pokemon. I'm not trying to catch them all. Like, if y'all are going to connect with me on LinkedIn, we only have 30,000 connections. I'm pretty close to that. So if you're going to send me that, I want you to tell me why you listen to this podcast, why you love Alaric, because what that's going to do is when you send me that message, not only am I going to get to know you better, I'm going to get to understand my buddy Alaric better and how people think about him. And that's going to allow me to be able to build a deeper relationship with him. So that's what I want people to do. Connect with me there, and let's build a story together.
And I completely agree, right? It's like you want to connect with, like, it's real human to human connection. Everything that you talked about, so much value inside of this podcast. Joshua, what's your final, kind of golden nugget, piece of value, thing you want to leave everybody with here today?
I would usually go on LinkedIn, but we've really, hit that hard. And if everyone wants to go find more LinkedIn stuff, like, cool, come follow me on LinkedIn. But the biggest thing that I've learned, Alec, and this is one of the hardest things that I learned, is no matter if it's YouTube, it's LinkedIn, it's TikTok, it's Facebook, whatever social media, if it's life, you have to be 100% you 100% of the time, on and offline, because it's one of the biggest and hardest things we see in this world, where people try to be something they're not. And then when they are found in a world, especially a world of AI now more than ever, people are just leveraging that to be as many things as they want to pretend to be. And that's a hard life to live. And it's not a good way to be able to actually build a legacy or build a business. And I learned that the hard way, my friend, because again, when I went through a reset in my life almost 10 years ago, I had this perception, and this is what drives most people crazy, was my perception of other people's perception of me. That I was still the person after my divorce, after my reset, after I closed a lot of my companies and moved forward to save time with my kids, that I was still that person I was before. And that actually was driving me crazy, because I thought I had to be this person that I used to be. And when I finally came out and said, look, this is who I am, this is what I went through, this is where I'm moving forward to, it was amazing how much opportunity opened its doors to me, and where I am only here today because that's who I am. I am unapologetically me all the time, because I know people are going to love or hate me. If I'm indifferent, and if I create content that's indifferent, if I show up indifferent, I'm just wasting their time and I'm wasting mine. And that's the one resource I will never get back. So that's it, man. That's what I got.
I love it. What amazing, wise words to end on. Thank you so much for coming on again, Joshua. This is fantastic.
Love it, brother.